As promised, with no review show this week in the Super League, I do my own little broadcast with a few extra bits and pieces. I've written down about 5 or 6 page script to go through. Hopefully you enjoy, and there's a few discussion points. So we'll start with the review of last weekend's games. BTEC won 2-1 at home to Bolton. I thought it was quite an even game. Bolton are suffering because they simply cannot finish, something they really need to work on. Pizarro, the difference maker, you feel if he was in the Bolton team, the result could have quite easily been the other way. BTEC are starting to show the promise that a lot of us thought they had at the start of the season, starting to look like top 6 contenders now. There was an accusation in the commentary that Bolton were too attacking. Can you be too attacking? At the end of the day, we're in an entertainment business and we're also about results. And the only way to get the result is to attack. So I think that's just lazy punditry, if I'm honest, saying they're too attacking. I can kind of see the point they were trying to make, but perhaps the way that they described it wasn't the best. If they put 11 men behind the ball, for example, you would complain they were too defensive. You know, what do you want from these teams? He set out a team that he thought he was going to win. They didn't, but you've got to admire the intent. Cannons and Astor played out an early season classic and possibly an all-time Super League classic. It finished Cannons 2, Astor 3. Last minute heartbreak. You got to feel for Timmy, and you've got to be pleased for Alf at the same time, I suppose. As a football fan, we've all lived through the joy of a last minute winner and the despair of conceding a last minute goal. Astor are simply incredible. Alf's done a hell of a job early doors with them, and I can see them maintaining it as well. He's a really shrewd guy, really nice guy, and he deserves all the success. There was a lot of talk about Bowyer pulling the strings, and understandably so, but I would single out Alan Smith. I think he's been top draw. I think he's been a revelation, considering he never really got a look in the previous incarnation. So again, fair play Alf for picking him out and really getting him going. Got a lot of respect though for Timmy's attempts to counteract what Alf does, and it nearly pulled off. So unlucky, mate. You know, it was a good effort. What you can't argue with is that Timmy's really got Van Bommel playing, a player who a lot of people, myself included, have said that he's got all the attributes to be a good player, but he's never really shown it. But Timmy's really got him playing. Next up, Hoddesdon beat Palmer 3-1. First half, let's be honest, for not just at Super League standard, these two teams, it was pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And thankfully, the second half was a lot better. Hoddesdon deserved the win. I don't think there's any arguing that. What's interesting is last couple of games, Freddie Youngberg's played really well for them. Again, another player who probably not considered a Super League standard player, but no, he's doing all right. And another ex-Devil. Palmford and Icos were very average by their standards, at least. There were a fair few 7s in the ratings, but for them, statistically and just overall, they were very average. I try and stay fairly neutral when I'm on co-coms and stuff, but the one thing I would say, looking at it, is he really needs to stop pissing about with his tactics. Pick something that he's happy with, or maybe 1 or 2 alternatives to it. You know, he got a lot of success with 1 at the back, but ever since he played something stupid against me and won, he then pissed about the last game and he lost. He went back to something a little bit more conventional, but something that's not really them, and lost. Maybe he needs to stick to what he knows. Hooligans got a narrow 1-0 win over Midlothian. Like BTEC, Hooligans are really starting to pull into gear now and are making that march to top 6. Midlothian were rubbish, let's be honest. It was a very poor performance from them, considering they'd won a few games in a row. Hooligans' defence has been criticised because on paper it doesn't look very strong, but you know, they do keep clean sheets, and they're winning games, so you can't really argue with it. Harry Kewell put in a 4. Rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. I mean, I've been hammered in games this season and had players not get 4. So I think there was some excuse that he had the wrong tactics or something against his name. You shouldn't be getting a 4 at Super League level. On the flip side of that, how good has Shay Given been? Superb this season. And he's been a real shining light. Sloths 0, Dragon Destroyers 2. Jamie deserved it. Jamie's boys deserved it. They were the better side, I think. At least watching the show back and looking at the stats and stuff, you did think it was going to be one of them games for Jamie again, with his shots, or not shot shy, but goal shy squad. I thought it was going to end goalless at one point. You got a feel for the Sloths. A lot of you haven't been there, or manager wise. I have. When you can't get a result or even a goal for love nor money, it's heartbreaking and soul destroying. And I just hope that they wait for us to pull clear of the bottom, and then they can start getting some results. There was some criticism for Rivaldo's positioning, and I'm going to contradict myself with this. I respect the fact that he's tried something. I don't think you can hold it against him, because clearly whatever's been happening hasn't been working. But then, like I said about Palmer earlier, maybe he needs to find a tactic and just stick with it for a bit. I got slated for keep changing it, and it didn't work for me, so I kind of went back to something a bit more tried and tested, and we got a result. Okay, it's not a win, but we got a result. Like I said about Palmer messing about with his tactics. He's now lost 2 in a row. Maybe the Sloths need to pick something and just stick with it for a couple of games, see if that helps. Speaking of which, we got a 3-3 draw with Churchtown. Obviously, we celebrated Champ's birthday, 18th birthday, last weekend, and ours was a game along with the Astor game that was a real, a Champ game, something to really celebrate. It was an exhibition in finishing. We didn't have as many chances as we would have liked, but we put 3 away. I'm happy with that. Churchtown put 3 away as well. I think a draw was fair. You could argue Churchtown were the better side, and some people might even say we were lucky, but I think there was an element of luck for both sides. We had a penalty. We scored an own goal. These things balance each other out. All in all, I was quite happy with the point, and we move on. Hopefully it's a step in the right direction. The final game was Vallon 3, Ardsley 1. No beating about the bush here. I think the injuries definitely had an effect on the game. But all in all, you play what's in front of you, and Vallon deserved the win. I've been quite impressed with Totti. He missed a penalty the other week, but he's been really good, really reliable, and you can see why Vallon are building their team around him. He's really doing a job for them. What I will say is, check out the headline in the blog for this game, which has been given to me. The blog will probably go out Sunday, given that there's no game this weekend, so this show will go out Saturday. It's been recorded Friday night. This will go out Saturday, and then the blog Sunday, ready to build up for the midweek game. Let's move on to the Team of the Week nominations. So there are 6 goalkeeper nominations. Shay Given of Midlothian, Abiati of BTEC, Toldo of Vallon, Carini of the Dragons, Londreo of Hoddesdon, and Barthez of Astor are all nominated defenders. There's Cafu of Vallon, Lucio of Hoddesdon, Lizarazu of Vallon, Amrus of Swindon. We've got a player nominated. Chivu and Lasise of BTEC make up the defender nominations. Midfielders, we got Roy Keane of Vallon, Totti of Vallon, Tamazi of the Dragons, David Dunn of Hoddesdon. I thought he played quite well, to be fair to him. Bowyer at Astor, no surprise there. Dyer at BTEC's been nominated. Etzabaria of Churchtown, and Vogel of BTEC. And then finally the striker nominations. There were quite a few good performances from strikers this week, or last week. Another Swindon player, Clivert got nominated, as did former Devil Henrik Larsson. Viduka got nominated of the Dragons, as did Anelka with his winner for Hooligans. Hoddesdon's Sigalko, BTEC's Pizarro, and finally Montella also got nominated for Team of the Week. Check out the blog to see who won their places. Manager of the Week nominations: Hooligans, Valen, BTEC and Asta. Quick look ahead to the games on Wednesday then. Ardsley Celtic host the Swindon Devils, 38% saying a Celtic win, and then 31% each for a draw and a Devils win. I'll take that, considering we've not been very good. There's clearly a bit of belief there in us, so cheers guys, appreciate that, whoever's voted. My prediction for this is going to be a 2-2. Hopefully we've turned the corner after the draw with Churchtown. We can score, we can't defend. I don't think the 2-2 will help either. We both need to win, so that's my prediction for that one. Game 2, Asta Bolton, 67% predicting an Asta win, and I'm joining them. I'm going to say a 2-0 win. Bolton's lack of goals is my concern here for them, and Asta is showing no signs of slowing down, so I'm going to say a home win in that one. Game 3, Churchtown Massive versus the MLS franchise, the Hoddesdon Hornets. Quite close in the vote. 36% for a Hornets win and 36% also for a draw. And I'm going with the latter. I've gone 1-1 for this one. I've been doing a few predictions for ramp football lately, so I decided to throw in a few predictions for this, you know, something a bit different. This one was very tough to call. I think this was the hardest to call out of all the games this week. So I've gone for 1-1. Dragons entertain Valen, and Valen got 50% of the vote, so an away win is likely. Again, I've followed suit with that. I've gone for a 2-0. I think Valen are on a roll, whether they're going to win by injuring people or getting Blog and their sponsors half and half to pay off the referees again. Dragons are just inconsistent in front of goal, and unless Jamie can sort that out, that's going to cause them a problem. Next up, Hooligans BTEC. This is a huge game, huge for both teams and the league as a whole. 60% gone for a Hooligans win, which slightly surprised at, possibly because of home advantage, I suppose. I've gone 2-1 Hooligans in this one. I think it'll be close. I think it could be quite entertaining. Midlothian Sloths. 31% gone for Sloths here, but 46% gone for Midlothian. Sloths really do need something. I think everyone knows that. But Midlothian have been very good at home. So I'm backing a score draw here. And then the final game, the one that everyone's looking forward to, Palma Panathinaikos hosting Cannons. Palma, to be fair to him, he's got 53% of the vote, which again surprises me a little bit. I think it's the only one that I've gone against the vote. I've gone 3-1 Cannons. They've both lost their last two, so they both need to win quite badly, I think, to turn it around and kickstart their season again. The next thing I'd lined up for this little show is a special lineup of Super League characters. If you check out the 94th minute, I know Martin's done his all-time 11 on there, and I'm set to go on soon as well. And I've been listening a lot to the Lineup 11 podcast recently as well, so I thought throw in a Super League lineup. Let's see which 11 of us made the team. I've gone for Martin in goal, the chairman. He's reliable, safe pair of hands, so he was the obvious person to put in goal. I've gone for a back three. I've gone Palmer, master of one at the back. He has to be a defender. Alf, because he reads the game well. He's going as a defender as well. And I've gone for Rob at the Sloths, because if anyone's watched his crazy videos, he's a talker. So he'd be the perfect guy to have at the back. In front of the back three, I've gone for Timmy, because he's very clever. Reads the game well. And in front of him, I've gone for Ian of BTEC, because anyone who's seen the Citizen Edwards page, sorry, he's a very creative guy, so he's the perfect guy to have in there. My two wingers, I've gone for Jamie at the Dragons. The Welsh create very good wingers. Look at Bale, look at Giggs. So I've put him one side, and I've gone for Ian of Midlothians to go on the left wing, for no other reason than he clearly likes rogue left wingers, having Eric Addo playing left wing back. My front three, Thiago, Brazilians are quality in attack. Andreas, similarly, you look at Larsson, you look at Ibrahimovic, the Swedes have got it in the bag. And finally Craig, because he's well known in the Super League for scoring goals. So there is my Super League manager stroke chairman 1 to 11. Finally, I asked for some questions to finish off my little piece with. And thanks to some of you for sending them in. I will start off by saying anyone who saw the post yesterday about the Zé Roberto bid, it took a lot of thought, but in the end I rejected it. He's too key to what I'm going to try and do to lose him. Ardsley asked which 3 players have impressed me and which 3 have disappointed. I've actually gone for 4 disappointed. The 3 that have impressed is... Sorry, there was a message. I didn't know who it was from at this hour. 3 that have impressed have been Lee Bowyer, Alan Smith and Shay Given. I don't think there's any surprise here, and I mentioned all 3 earlier. Given in particular has been a revelation this year. I know there's been some controversy that he probably hasn't had the recognition in the Team of the Weeks that he's deserved. The 4 players that have disappointed, had to pick one of my own, and I've gone for Zidane. He's just not quite clicked into gear. Rossini at the Cannons, he was a player that a lot of us wanted, and he's not quite hit the heights I expected him to be. Unpenza standard, banging goals in every game. Speaking of strikers, I've gone for Crespo. He's not doing the job that he should be doing. And I've also gone for Vieira. After all the Vieira lottery and the big hype around him, he's not really helping his team out at the minute. So I'm not saying he's performing badly, just his team aren't doing a bit. And as the driving force behind that, he needs to, roll his sleeves up and help out a bit. B-Tech asked if I could take charge of any team, who would it be and why? I've gone for Hooligans. The sheer talent in that squad is unbelievable, and my teams don't defend anyway, so the fact his defence get criticised, it would make no odds to me. B-Tech then asked, would you prefer a Lamborghini that could only go 5 miles an hour or a cucumber-shaped car that could do 70? What we've established on my last Q&A was that I'm not really a flashy guy. I just want something that does the job, so I'd be quite happy to drive in a cucumber-shaped car. And then, if I could have any player from the B-Tech squad, who would I have? There are a lot of good players in the B-Tech squad. One of the reasons I tipped them to do well this season. Got Cole, you've got Lassisi. Is it Lassisi? That's how you pronounce it. But right now, given my situation, or the Devil's situation, probably Chivu, a player I like a lot. Andreas asked, thoughts on the Chudley Cannons lineup in the last game? I think I touched on it when I looked at their game. I respected what he tried to do. He threw something different. He realised that you can't just play your normal game against Alf. You've got to try something to counteract this really dangerous formation, and it nearly happened for him. So I don't think you can criticise the lineup. I don't think you can slate it, and I think he was just unlucky. Our friends over at Half and Half asked if I could delete one team for good, who would it be? I know that they got a reply saying Liverpool, I think, and they very cleverly replied, but then who would we laugh at for not winning the Premier League? For me, it would be Oxford, obviously being a Swindon fan. You might say, but they're your rival, surely you want them? No, I'd be quite happy for Oxford not to be there, personally. We've got plenty of other rivals. We seem to be well hated around the Football League, so Oxford would be the answer to that. B-Tech then popped up with a final question. Can you separate acts for their misdemeanours in their personal life from their music? And this obviously stems from my tweet on Sunday. I think it depends on what they've done. For example, a lot of people will still listen to Michael Jackson music, given what he's alleged to have done, or was alleged to have done. If it was something more serious than other things, if it's so hard to say, and I think it's down to personal interpretation. I would try and, if there was someone who had done something seriously badly, I would generally not, out of respect to the people who were affected by whatever those actions were. Does that kind of answer the question? I don't know. It's quite late. I don't know what time it is, Hannah. So it's 10 to 1 in the morning. I'm probably just waffling at this stage. Bolton Phoenix came on with a load of questions for me to finish off with. What teams have underachieved so far this season? Me, Sloths, Ardsley. Off the top of my head. What teams have overachieved? Can you overachieve after 5 or 6 games? I don't know. If I had to pick one, maybe Midlothian, just because they seem to have, they got 9 points from, is it 5 games? I think it's 5 games, which is better than all the other new managers, I think. My prediction for the top 2, I can't see past Alf and Timmy at the moment, if I'm honest. Best player in the league so far. It's got to be Bowyer or Smith, I'd imagine. I think I highlighted Smith earlier over Bowyer, so I'll stick with him. He's getting goals. You can't argue with that from a striker. If I could sign anyone from another Super League team, it depends. Do I want someone who's going to improve what I've got now, or do I just want the best? I would probably say, given that no matter who I sign, my teams aren't going to defend, I need someone who's going to score goals, so I'd go for Mpenza. Any regrets for any players I've brought in or sold? I don't think so. There was no one I was overly gutted about losing that I can remember from the original draft. And it's too early to say someone's failed. I know everyone's hoping I say Danny Mills, who played 1 game and then got dropped, but no regrets for any transfers thus far. Who do I look forward or hate playing? I look forward to playing Palmer because it's always, it's generally good banter, apart from this time round where he decided not to do anything. I look forward to every game. I mean, I always get nervous and I always worry and I always struggle to watch because I just fear we're going to lose. But I look forward to playing everyone. There's no one I don't like playing. Where do I think the Devils will finish? I'm still rooting for us to finish top 6. I think if we have turned the corner, which I'm hoping we have, we can start to build up momentum. There's a lot of teams there who aren't keeping the pace enough that for their own liking that I can catch them up if we get on a good run of form. Is there any games I thought were unlucky? Not particularly. Maybe the Cannons game a little bit, but you can't begrudge him the win when you look at the stats. That was probably the closest game that we didn't win. Why would you call yourself the Devils? Any association to Man United? Blah, blah, blah. I think, did I not get asked this in the last Q&A I did? Purely, Swindon because I'm a Swindon fan, and Devils because my favourite player when I first got into football was Beckham. It just made sense, I think. Favourite comic book hero and villain? This is a tough one for me because until recently I was never really into it. I had the conversation with Timmy when I first started watching the Marvel films. I would say Spider-Man because I think Tom Holland plays the part really well. Not really a villain that I like. I would probably move over to DC as opposed to villain, maybe Joker, something like that. But I like the fact that these superhero films are funny. I again, flicking between the two I said Spider-Man. The Avengers films are funny. Not so sure about the ones when they're on their own, if that makes sense. And then I really liked Aquaman. I watched that recently. I thought that was very funny as well. I've liked Flash when I watched his film. When all of the DC characters were together. Again, I'm not sure about villain. Thanos is the only one I really know. Does #Muscleian play champ? He does. He doesn't play 0102 though, I don't think. I think he plays an older version. But he often tells me about his Air United save when I go around on a Thursday to do a bit of martial arts training in front of his picture of Kevin Keegan. And last question is, do I really not have the game or a laptop? No, that is completely true. I do all my blog work on my phone app, and we have a notebook, but it's not very fast, it's really old. My son pretty much just uses it for watching YouTube videos. And no, I haven't had the game for quite a while because I haven't had anything to play it on. If you want to donate both the game and a laptop, donations welcome. That's it. You know, if you've stuck through 27-ish minutes of me talking drivel in a probably monotone voice, then thanks for watching, thanks for your questions, and again, keep an eye out for the blog over the weekend and get ready for some midweek Super League action. Up the Devils.